Hi everyone. So yeah, we've got an amazing panel today. So today we're talking through premium and fashion, digital. We've got a kind of like amazing list of speakers here. So we've got Andrew Cottington from Studio Nicholson. We've got Bethany Corcoran from ME+EM, and we've got Jacob Booty from Nadine Merabi. And first thing I wanted to talk through, so one of the biggest kind of like trends we're seeing, as Paul mentioned earlier, was international. So we wanted to have this as kind of like the first starting point around the discussion. And yeah, first question we'll go through is, I mean, I know most panels be talking through the tariffs, but I guess initially we're just talking in the room there and just go through what your potential views are, what you might respond to it, and yeah, what your current. So we'll start off with you, Andrew.
Yeah, of course. Hi. Yeah, I mean, the US is our second biggest market after the UK. We've seen phenomenal growth there recently, almost 80% year on year at the moment. Unfortunately for us, I guess, or the main consideration will be that 15% of our sales to the US contain product that we make in China. It's, for us, such a center of excellence. We make most of our knitwear there. It's beautiful. They make it so well and on time that, you know, it's not even a consideration for us to start thinking about moving manufacturing sites. We're very happy with the product from there. I think that it's going to be impossible, as it is for anyone in this room, to try and predict what we need to be doing. I think that what we need to be at the moment is nimble, consider our options. It's up in the air. I think, you know, the growth that we had has been phenomenal. As I said, hopefully we can find a way for that to continue. If we don't, we're still diversifying into different markets. We have a great presence in Asia. EMEA has been phenomenal for us at the moment within our wholesale side of the business. So, you know, we're positive. I think that since COVID, we've not really been a brand to hold our eggs in one basket. We're very conscious of risks, especially with states at the moment. So we've got other options, and we're very conscious to try and maintain these other options.
And Bethany?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a similar position where the US is our second market too. Maybe not for much longer. I mean, you'd be mad to be making quick decisions at the moment because obviously it's literally changing by the hour. So we are trying to just take some time, consider, not make any radical changes. I mean, from our perspective, we don't make any clothes in the US. Nobody does. So we all kind of need to hold hands and everyone's in the same position. I think potentially what's more concerning is the wider impact outside of the direct tariffs just on consumer confidence and that you know, ability to buy and that desire to spend. That's obviously going to be eroded by all of this uncertainty, and I think we're going to see those ripple effects for much longer than just the next few weeks. But for now, we are holding firm.
Yeah, brilliant. And I guess, yeah, the next question would be, so if you are looking to diversify away from the US, just where you're potentially seeing growth in other markets and what your priority markets are kind of like for the next 12 months. So yeah, we'll go over to you, Jacob.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so conveniently, the US is absolutely flying for us. So this last week has been ideal. I guess just to touch on that point that these guys were mentioning, I think if anyone here has come looking for answers as to what you should do concretely, you're not going to get them yet, right? Just hold your nerve, and that information will come. Anyone who has the answers now or thinks they have the answers is lying to you. They don't know yet, right? So just hold your nerve and trust in the decision makers you've had in your business before, because they'll make the right decisions this time. In terms of our growth markets, so we have untapped potential in the EU, so we're largely split between UK and US. The EU is a real growth opportunity for us. I guess the strategy is about identifying which markets within the EU, because that's a pretty broad brush, right? So the EU, so we're looking at France and Germany in particular. And then the UAE, slightly different models. So we'll be looking at, I guess, a wholesale model with the likes of Altair and Unis. So those markets for us represent some, you know, really interesting opportunities. But as I said, we're hoping that all goes well with the US because it's doing a job for us.
Yeah, brilliant. I think especially a lot of our clients are seeing a lot of growth in the Middle East. UNAS has been brilliant in terms of like building more demand, building kind of like demand for D2C, and it's just a really good way to enter the market. So yeah, I wanted to focus on ME+EM initially as well. So I think in terms of growing new markets, just wanted to go for, I guess, like how have you seen success? How do you enter a new market? What channels do you use? What's the importance of wholesale, physical stores? Yeah, what's kind of like your approach when you're entering a new market?
So we don't do any wholesale. We never have. And we only have stores in the US at the moment, but they have played a part for sure. They have. We've seen that impact in the US. It kind of gives that the US consumer, I feel, is given confidence and trust in the fact that you've got a physical presence. They like to see that. When we opened 3 stores in the States in quick succession this time last year, and we really did see a kind of bounce from that. So stores play a part in the growth for sure, but really it's largely digital that we've gone with at the moment. We do a lot of the usual paid search, paid social. Meta takes a lot of our money. It's digital channels, but obviously there needs to be refinement, and that's what we'll be focusing on soon, is kind of how does the content and the creative really back up when you're talking to different markets? What are they looking for? It's not all the same, obviously. So that's really what we're going to be focusing on in the next couple of quarters.
Brilliant. And so earlier in kind of like Paul's and mine presentation earlier, I was talking through loyalty, gave some great examples. I know you guys are all looking at this currently. But yeah, Andrew, I just wanted to ask kind of like, what are you doing for loyalty currently, and how does it perform for you?
Yeah, we're in a nice position where, for those of you who don't know Studio Nicholson, we offer men's and women's clothing. We call it a modular wardrobe, which is slightly wanky, but it nods to the interest in architecture that we have. It is the best term that we've found to describe our approach of a head-to-toe wardrobe. It's very simple. It's very largely unbranded. That means that we're lucky enough to have a very loyal customer base. We have people that discover us and then tend to buy in a lot of depth. So we have a loyalty system, which I'd be the first to admit was not the most well conceived, perhaps, at launch. It was before my time, which is why I'm saying that. But it's got flaws. I think that we've known this for a long time. We've been working with Yotpo recently to relaunch our loyalty system. It'll be a tiered system. What we're really working towards is not just using it as a revenue driver, but using it to increase AOV, is using it to enter new markets as well. I think that when we're looking at expansion into Asia, we're using it, and we will be using it as an opportunity for us to reward early adopters, to start a kind of a two-way discussion, taking a step towards customers that are discovering us for the first time. So Loyalty 2.0 for us will look a lot more refined. It'll be a slightly less generous with discounts. At the moment, we offer a kind of open-ended 20% discount when you reach a certain amount of points. That impacts our margin massively. Our AOV is about £450, £500 at the moment, which means that we're giving away, almost £100 on every order of margin. So that's too generous, frankly. I think that we've realised that that's not sustainable. It puts us up to huge financial risk as well on a P&L basis. So we're looking to refine it. We still think it's a really interesting offer and a really engaging offer for new customers. But I think the difficulty for us is going to be saying to these existing loyalty system customers, here's our new offering. It's going to look less good to you straight away, but how do we sell that in other areas? And I think that the loyalty that we have as a brand will see us through that. It's just about the challenge for us is around consideration.
Yeah, brilliant. I definitely want to come back to that point around like pricing, margin, what you do from a sale perspective. But I guess just same answer for you, Jacob, as well around loyalty. What are you doing and how does it work for you guys?
So we introduced the loyalty scheme last year. We essentially did very little in the way of retention efforts. And I think we thought we would put a loyalty scheme in place. It would be a masterclass in retention, and it would all be fixed. But we underthought actually the value that you need to be offering to customers to actually make them bother with a loyalty scheme. I think the biggest problem we've had is actually getting customers to onboard into it. And that's because I think, similar to what Andrew was describing, I think we thought, there'll be a discount after a certain amount of points are accrued, and that's what customers want. But actually, specifically in our space, I think customers want a little bit more than that. Potentially, they want to navigate towards that VIP area where they're getting some kind of real value add beyond a discount that anybody else could get. So the next stage for us is developing it into something that really provides value for the customer, because right now it doesn't do that. So whilst we have a loyalty scheme, it's definitely not best in class. So it's something we're focusing on and working out how we can actually get people into it and encourage them to then navigate the tiers, because right now they're not really doing that.
Brilliant. And the final one, loyalty, is ME+EM, Bethany. What's your kind of like views as to how ME+EM can do this? You obviously launched the physical lookbook as well, so I'd be intrigued to know around how that's performed and what the purpose is of that as well. Yeah,
it's interesting listening to these guys talk about loyalty because we don't do anything at the moment, and this is a bit of a cautionary tale of thinking about it properly, no offense. We've over the years, we've talked about it loads and then got kind of halfway through it and thought, actually, this is bigger than we realized, and we aren't in a position to be able to roll it out yet. again, you want to do something properly when you do it. You want to do it in a polished way. We have a lot of loyal customers, and we obviously want to thank them, but not with discounts, because it's not really what we do. I think from our perspective, it would end up being service related, and about deepening that relationship to the brand, maybe a personal stylist, someone who you can call and knows your name, all of that. So leaning slightly on the kind of luxury side rather than a points gathering and moving through the tiers. But certainly internally, we have tiers. We talk about our VIPs all the time. We monitor what they're doing on a weekly basis, but it's just not something that we've managed to kind of conceive of any good way of doing it properly yet. The lookbook is a stalwart at ME+EM. It's kind of how the brand was built, this direct marketing model. And we still do it, so obviously it works in some ways. I think for us, it's a nice way to engage with our customers in a different way every month. We launch 14 collections a year, so it's an excuse to be in front of them in a different way, not just digitally, which we feel add value. Obviously, the brand can look great in print. It's a really nice outlet from that perspective. And we're doing it in the States now, so certainly it works. But over the years, as data protection has changed and legislation has come in, certainly the efficacy of it has changed, but it still has a place for us in our brand for sure. And we find people, anecdotally coming into the stores clutching it, saying, "Oh, I received this and I want to see that exact thing." So it definitely does drive engagement for us.
Yeah, brilliant. I think in a similar vein, I guess on the physical side of things, you've obviously got some amazing stores, and I guess how do you utilize omni-channel for ME+EM, and what have kind of the stores allowed you to do now?
I can take absolutely no credit for those beautiful stores because I barely set foot in any of them. They're all far too good at their jobs, and they will part you from your money. They're really important for us. They have been. We are cautiously growing our store portfolio, but obviously digital is still a kind of engine of growth for the business. From an omni-channel perspective, we've really been focusing on stitching the data together so that we as a business understand the value of the store customer versus the online, how they shop between both, how that impacts lifetime value. Our actual offering, I would say, from an omni-channel perspective, is pretty basic, and that's something we're looking at this year. Certainly from a fulfillment or returns perspective, there's definitely more we could be doing to leverage the stores, but we know that they help. Even anecdotally, again, videos of the store layouts do so well on our socials. People just love to see it. They like to see the clothes in the wild, even if they can't make it into a store themselves. So I think to give that brand touch point that's physical, even if somebody doesn't go there very often, is super important.
And Jacob, Nadine Merabi have just launched a store, is that right? Or why don't you talk us through that journey for you guys and what the plans are for stores moving forward?
So we have a store on South Moulton Street that we launched in September. We didn't really have any expertise or kind of clue what we were doing when we launched it, which would have been helpful. However, in this kind of fail fast mentality, it has ultimately landed it in a really good place, and it's performing extremely well. I think a couple of naiveties, I'm just laying bare all my deficiencies, but a couple of naiveties were about how I assumed the retail store would be really detached from the overall performance of the D2C, from the e-com, but actually they are kind of inextricably tied. When we see an uplift in D2C performance, we often see an uplift in our retail store performance. And I know it's only one store, so perhaps it's, there isn't actually a relationship there, but it's certainly something we're seeing. Omnichannel is a buzzword that everybody talks about and something we're taking really seriously. So we're looking at expansion in another retail store in New York, for instance, and then we're looking at Paris and various other areas. I think, we went into it without much clue what we were doing, but I certainly think that for anyone that is looking to take the plunge, just give it a go and see how it goes, because ultimately the insight you get from your customers in that retail space is so valuable that you just don't get anywhere else, and that can really inform your product strategy, but also it gives you keep a finger on the pulse of general performance through what's going on in the retail stores. So as I said, Nadine Merabi, we don't really know what we're doing, but we're doing pretty well. So there we go.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think when we've seen clients enter a new market specifically, and they've done it really well, having some level of physical presence, whether it's a pop-up through wholesale, but I think having that actual in-store ability for the customer to see the product, talk to the team is really important.
I would say that's true, actually. Just sorry for jumping in. We've got a Dallas store now, and obviously for us that's quite a different customer profile maybe to our New York customer. I love reading those store results on a Monday morning. They'll be like, this dress is not the best, this dress is not the worst. Priceless insight, thanks very much. It's really interesting because she'll be like, this color's not working really well in Dallas, or she loves that because she's going to wear it to some sort of cattle herding ball or something. And it's really, I mean, we're reflecting it in our online VM because you're like, hey, Dallas likes it, push it up. Like, and we wouldn't know that otherwise. So you're right, that feedback you get about product is really useful.
Do you know what we find interesting with our stores is that one of our fundamental, not problems, but considerations is that we like a baggy, loose, androgynous silhouette. We reference this a lot on site. We have lookbooks and size guides and fit guides, and we say this as much as we can, but there's only a point you can get to where it just sounds like you're saying, this fits big, if you want a regular fit, go down a size. And that sounds clinical, and it sounds like we don't know how our clothes are supposed to fit in a way. In a store, a huge benefit of that is that you can have a sales associate who are amazing, the store teams, and they can talk someone through, this is how we want it to fit, this is how we design it to fit, this looks beautiful, the sleeve length is just right for us. If you don't want it to fit like that, then of course you can down a size. And I think that we learn from them. The way that we interact with the store team is always this back and forth of feedback, and we learn the ways that customers react to their guidance, and the things that they say and things they don't say, the things that customers react to and don't react to, and we then try and implement that digitally.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I know we've got a few clients where historically the team have been sent to stores to spend a bit of time there to like truly understand the merchandise, kind of like the day-to-day customer and everything else. And then just because we've got some amazing brands here, premium luxury, I wanted to talk through pricing. So we've, again, got a number of clients who have increased prices over the last few years. I guess the level of discounting brands are trying to do, everyone's still trying to move away from that. And I just wanted to get some of your opinions around, are you changing pricing? Do you do discounting? And I guess ME+EM is probably a good example here. But yeah, Bethany, why don't you talk through your current approach?
We've always tried to limit discounting. We haven't done Black Friday for many years now, for example. It was a decision we made, I don't know, like 5 years ago maybe, and to my knowledge, it doesn't get discussed at a senior level to change that idea. From our perspective, it doesn't really align with the brand. Our clothes are investment pieces. They will last forever. They should be well loved, well worn. We take time over designing them. We don't really want to rush the customer into buying them at a particular time of year. So it's just something that we've backed away from. But obviously it impacts performance. It would be nice to occasionally, when the numbers look poor, it would be nice to whack a 30% off everything on the site and see how it does. It's just nice to see the line go up. But we are full price. We are full price business. We own to sale twice a year. I can't see us changing that strategy, but obviously pricing and pricing effectively to acquire customers and effectively to retain customers is a different conversation, and one that is constantly evolving, I would say.
And how about you, Jacob? What's your current pricing strategy, and how has that evolved the last 12 months?
So we do discount. We have a few periods in the year where we will run pricing, like promotions essentially. I think I look at discounting as a valuable tool in terms of onboarding customers into the business, getting them over the purchase threshold, and then ideally they're going to shop at full price from there on. So it's not like I look on it with a completely negative lens. In an ideal world, we trade at full price every single day of the year. I think the thing that we focus on is in the periods where we're not in discount, it's ensuring that our pricing setup is optimized. So we're relentlessly looking at the pricing elasticity and trying to, increase prices where necessary, but also decrease prices. It's not always about increasing prices, right? Sometimes you will go in at a price that's too high and you need to review it. Discounting is something that we do. We want to try and limit, but ultimately the focus is about those periods in between to make sure that we've got our pricing at an optimal level.
Perfect. And now we don't have too long, but I did want to ask just around brand strategy, investment in top of funnel awareness, and if any of you guys are currently doing this, and what your approach is. So we'll start with you, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, we invest heavily in our visual identity. We really consider that to be a really strong stake in the ground for awareness. I think that we're not too conceptual with our campaigns, but it is a huge part of who we are. We're so aesthetically driven. We're so interested in aesthetics and architecture and creative industries that we feel that punching above our weight with campaign imagery, the percentage of marketing budget that's spent on campaigns when I started was at the start eye-watering, but I get it now. It's really important for us to have a really clear vision of who we are and to be able to portray that, especially going to new markets. I think that we're about to launch a Tmall store. We've spent 2 years working with an agency in China, slowly building brand awareness, and it's really, really starting to pay off. We're about to launch at a time when we feel confident that we've got a good foothold in the market, and I think a lot of that is because we've gone there with a luxury mindset, where we've got this beautiful imagery and we've considered every element of this launch. We haven't felt rushed into it, and now it's paying dividends because the timing could not be more perfect.
Yeah, brilliant. And yeah, for anyone who wasn't here yesterday for our morning talk, we showed that 53% of the e-com directors that we surveyed before Pulse were planning to spend more on content, more on production, more on photography. And that's definitely a trend we're like expecting to see over the next 12 months. But yeah, likewise for me and Bethany.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, brand is so important to us. We constantly, invest in it. Like you said, it's all about that luxury mindset and kind of the beauty of the brand imagery and how it kind of captures that emotional thing about the product that really just boring e-com imagery doesn't. And especially if we're looking at economic turmoil, I think what will stand the test of time is the strength of your brand. So it becomes more and more important to invest in that, if case prices have to go up, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, for sure for us, content and brand is a huge area of kind of focus this year.
Amazing. And are you investing in any, I guess, like more marketing focused, above the line?
We've started doing some. We do a bit of out of home stuff now. We're doing a bit more print. More and more. But it's obviously hard to drive up an ROI from any of it that you can kind of measure. But I think that's the point. You have to trust that it's doing something.
Okay, perfect. And Jacob, what are you guys doing from a brand awareness, kind of like above the line, top of funnel perspective?
Yeah, so we are investing heavily in upper funnel. The thing that had to happen before we started to do that was to kind of set our North Star, really understand who we were and what we were actually trying to display to people. Because otherwise, if you try and invest in upper funnel without your brand story nailed down or what you're trying to achieve, it can be like you're essentially just burning through cash. So we went through that exercise and then really started to turn the taps on in terms of upper funnel. Equally, kind of look at this retail and wholesale expansion as a bit of that brand piece. Like retail for us is a brand pillar as much as there is a contribution to the top line, and we do see it as a brand pillar. So that effectively operates as upper funnel as well. So yeah, a big part of our focus over this next period is going to be investing in that brand piece, and I would advise the rest of you do the same.
Amazing. But yeah, that's it for time now. But yeah, please give a big thank you to our amazing panelists, and thank you.